Good afternoon. Uh, I'm at the National Gandhi Museum in Delhi, and at this very moment, I'm actually standing in the library of the Gandhi Museum. So the first thing that needs to be understood about this library is that this is undoubtedly the largest collection of material related to Gandhi, certainly in India and quite likely anywhere in the world. There are obviously large collections outside India as well, in places such as, for example, Oxford, Cambridge, Harvard, the major research libraries that one has in the United States. But as is going to become apparent in just a few minutes, the collection here is absolutely distinct and unique, and it's a collection that cannot be replicated anywhere else. It's also important to understand that there are other museums and libraries which are dedicated to Gandhi and, in general, one might say the anti-colonial movement in India, the freedom struggle in India. But this library, nonetheless, as I've already suggested, is quite distinct. And so I would like to take a little stroll through the library for a few minutes before we just then focus on just a few works which will give the viewer some idea why I think a visit to this library, especially by researchers, would be highly desirable. So here is so I'm standing more or less in what we might describe as the middle of the library here, and to my right here is material that can be described as Gandhiana. And so for those of you who read Hindi, you will see that the shelf there says Gandhiana and then H, which refers to Hindi. So this is material in Hindi that we have, and we can see that there's an enormous amount of material. The reason why all of these books might look like they're all very similar is simply because they have been rebound, and generally what you see is you see the books bound in red. And that's why the books appear to be largely uniform. This is not the case, of course, with some of the newer works. And then we do have works here which have not been rebound at all. But this is essentially what we're speaking about as Gandhiana. Now, let me also say this. When I say Gandhiana, it doesn't mean that all the books are necessarily by Gandhi or on Gandhi. So if we look at the shelf over here, so there's a book here, it's called Atma Katha, and it's by Rajendra Prasad. And we know, of course, that Rajendra Prasad was a very important person in the anti-colonial struggle. He became the president of India as well, and he was someone who was very close to Gandhi, going back actually to the early days after Gandhi returned to India from South Africa. And as we walk through the shelves here, so this is the other side of this is also all material in Gandhi, and that is indeed very much the case over here as well. So if we walk through the stacks here, we see that these are all books which are, as I said, either by Gandhi or on Gandhi, or books that are related to the freedom struggle. What we have here is a set of books, a large set of books. I've just randomly taken it out over here. So this is a set of volumes which is on Gandhi by Pyare Lal, and we know that the English works of the early phase, the last phase, and all of that run into multiple volumes as well. Pyare Lal was Gandhi's secretary, but of course the first secretary that he had, I should say the first secretary after he really came back to India, because he did have a secretary in South Africa as well, but we know that the most famous secretary he had was Mahadev Desai, usually known as Mahadev Bhai to people who are in the Gandhi circles. And the shelves that we're seeing here are once again all material on Gandhi. This extraordinary material. This shelf over here it says very clearly is Gandhiji in foreign language books. These are mainly European languages that we're speaking about. I just happened to look here at a number of volumes. I've been working here for several days this month and was back here a month or two ago as well. So we're seeing here a collection. I mean, these books are not easy to find anymore. Ponce Gandhian, which is Gandhian thought. So there was an entire series, right? And this is a book which is by Edmond Privat. And here is a book that we have by Lanza del Vasto. So this is a collection dirigée par Lanza del Vasto, a collection that was originated by and edited by Lanza del Vasto. Here we have a volume on Tolstoy and Gandhi. So as I've suggested, this is really quite a extraordinary collection that we have. Now, if we walk to the other side of the library over here, what we find, so here in the middle, here is the collected works of Gandhi in English and Hindi. The collected works of Gandhi have appeared in a number of other languages as well, but they've not been complete. But the entire set has not been published yet in languages such as Gujarati. There is a set here which is in Tamil. It's on that side where we just came from in 17 volumes, which is the selected works of Gandhi. And as the director of the museum and the library has very kindly explained to me, Sri Annamalai, what is also quite distinct about the Tamil 17-volume set is that it was actually originated before the collected works in English and Hindi. When we walk through the shelves here, we'll turn our attention, as I said, in just a moment to a few of the rare works which will not be found in any other collection by and large. Well, if you just take a very quick glance over here, we get an idea of why we do have lots of other works which obviously have nothing to do explicitly with Gandhi or the anti-colonial struggle. There's a book here, for example, by Genius called The Genius of John Ruskin. John Ruskin was an English writer, an art critic, very eminently, but of course he wrote a book called Unto This Last, and this book became critically important for Gandhi going back to his South African days. One of the things that Gandhi says he learned from John Ruskin, of course he already had a predisposition towards that, was the importance of bread labor, that everybody should in fact actually labor for their own bread, right? And we know that this is an idea that is going to be important for him throughout his life, because he believed very much that one should be able to work with one's hands. Spinning has some relationship with that. There is, for example, here another book called My Autobiography by Charlie Chaplin. And why a book by Charlie Chaplin? Because even though Gandhi never really watched a film his whole life and had almost no interest in cinema, and we can actually infer that he probably thought of cinema as a vice, as a useless vice. Nevertheless, what's important is that when he came to London in 1931 for the second roundtable conference, Charlie Chaplin sought an audience with him. And there are some very famous photographs of Chaplin and Gandhi together, because of Gandhi was now a widely admired figure. And in his autobiography, Charlie Chaplin's autobiography, this is the 1964 edition, you find a mention of Gandhi. Right now, it won't, of course, be possible to go through every book, but I think now the viewer gets some idea of how the books have been organized. There are entire runs in this library of journals such as Young India, Harijan, Indian Opinion. All these journals, of course, are either founded by Gandhi or eminently associated with him, and he wrote I think it's safe to say that you can turn to an issue of Young India from, let's say, 1920, 22, 23, 24, and you'll find that half the issue is literally written by Gandhi. Hundreds, thousands of articles by him. Harijan also came out in other Indian languages, and the Gandhi Museum library here has a complete run of those. Now let's just turn our attention very briefly. We'll just walk around the table over here. So here's a work. This is called Dakshin Africa ke Satyagraha ka Itihas. Now, for those of you who know Gandhi's works, you might think, this is Gandhi's book in Hindi, perhaps the first edition of that, a book that Gandhi wrote called Satyagraha in South Africa. But no, all you have to do is just go down, you look at the title page, and it says Lekhak, Veer Satyagrahi, the brave Satyagrahi, Shri Juk Bhavani Dayal, Natal. So this is actually Bhavani Dayal, who's an Indian living in South Africa, and in fact he writes this work, which is a history published in 1916. And this is why this work is exceedingly rare. There's no PDF of this work available anywhere on the internet, the dedication here makes it very clear that the book is obviously inspired by the Satyagraha that was initiated by Gandhi in South Africa, because it says Mahatma Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi Mahodai ki seva mein, in the service of this great Mahatma, right? And there are photographs not just of Gandhi, but in fact it is actually a history of the Satyagraha in South Africa, right? So it's a really extraordinary, valuable work, not in great condition, but nevertheless this library has a copy. I'm not aware that there is any other copy in any other library. Now let's turn our attention very briefly to this. This huge volume here is newspaper clippings from only October, November 1908. So Gandhi is still in South Africa, right? And here we see clippings here. I know that there is a clipping somewhere in some other volume, which is the first letter that was written by Gandhi, and that is this volume over here. So this is the first letter written by Gandhi that was published in a newspaper anywhere, right? And this letter, so you can see Gandhi's name over here, and this is published, I believe, in 1893. And so what this volume here is it's a collection of newspaper clippings which go back to 1893-94. So the first set of newspaper clippings, as we turn the pages, we'll see that these are newspaper clippings, some in Gujarati as well, largely in English, but these are newspaper clippings which have to do with Gandhi and with the struggle for the rights of Indians in South Africa. Now, where else will you find a volume that has assembled all of these clippings from 1893 to 1894? And in this case, what we have here is the original. So these pages have been laminated. So we see, for example, the Natal Mercury, right? Mr. Gandhi interviewed, Indians and Unification. And this volume here, this very large volume, where the pages have been laminated to ensure that the condition is that the clippings are retained in a good condition, and someone obviously took the effort. So we can see, if you just look at, just randomly opened it up to 2 pages, they're from newspapers all over, right? In this case, all over the United Kingdom, the Irish Times, the East Anglian Daily Times, the Liverpool Daily Post, right? The Yorkshire Daily Observer, Dublin Express, and so forth, right? That's what these volumes are here. This volume here is part of what is called, so we see the number 124 over here. These are what are called the Gandhi papers. There is a collection of this at Sabarmati Ashram as well. They appear under a different number there in Sabarmati Ashram. And why are the Gandhi papers important? Let's be very clear. This is not the collected works of Gandhi that we're speaking about. Those volumes are over there, right? These Gandhi papers are the correspondence of Mohandas Gandhi. And what you will find here, which you will not find in the collected works, is the letters written not just by Gandhi, but the letters written to him. So for someone who's a serious scholar and who's interested in the exchange of correspondence, one has to turn to this set, which is 137 some volumes. Now, of course, the correspondence of Gandhi with some key figures such as Nehru, or let's say Mirabhan, Sarojini Naidu. I'm just picking three names. That correspondence has been published in separate collections. But the Gandhi papers here includes the correspondence that was directed to him from everyone, right? Including people that, of course, people drawn from ordinary walks of life, people that you would never have heard of or I would have heard, and then nobody would have any reason to hear this because people wrote to Gandhi from all over the world, right? And this is what we have here in the Gandhi papers. These are, of course, reproductions, and this can also be read in an adjoining room, which is another reading room where you can read them actually, on a computer or on a microfiche. So that's what we have here is the Gandhi papers, and I want to just now turn my attention finally, before we conclude this video, to two extraordinary volumes. So this is Gopal Krishna Gokhale had a tour in South Africa. This is the special Indian Opinion Souvenir. So Indian Opinion was a journal that was originated by Gandhi. It's absolutely distinct, I would say, in the annals of journalism anywhere in the world, not merely because it's associated with Gandhi. There have been famous newspapers associated with famous people, but the newspaper was actually published in 4 languages. There was material in 4 languages. And so English, of course, Tamil. Why Tamil? Because there are a large number of people in South Africa of Tamil origin, right? The indentured people who first started coming in 1860, right? This is not the time and place to go over the whole history of Indians in South Africa, but that's the reason it was published in Tamil as well. And then it was published in Gujarati. Many of the Gujaratis came over as what are called passenger Indians, and then it was published in Hindi. So what we have here is a newspaper that's actually published in 4 languages, and this is a special number, special souvenir of Indian Opinion on the occasion of, as it says, Gopal Krishna Gokhale's tour in South Africa, October 22nd to November 18th, 1912. It has some absolutely priceless photographs as well. And once again, as I've suggested, even though Indian Opinion itself has been published, I'm not sure, has been reproduced, I'm not sure whether this special volume has also been reproduced. I'm certainly not aware of it, and it's not available as a PDF on the internet. And this here, one could, of course, spend hours going through the material that we have in this library. So this is one of 6 volumes, right? This is one of 6 volumes in a very precarious condition, gifted by Sri Deshpande to the Gandhi Museum sometime in the 1950s. What has been assembled, the remaining volumes are over here. So these are 5 more volumes here. But what has been assembled here is the photographs. These photographs are photographs of the Salt Satyagraha and the Civil Disobedience Movement, 1930 to 1931 in the Bombay Presidency. And there's some, these photographs, some of them obviously have been seen in other publications, but this is by far the most comprehensive and voluminous collection we have. The collection can pose challenges for the researcher, because in some cases we know where the photographs were published. We know that because whoever clipped the photograph sometimes actually clipped. It might have been Mr. Deshpande, he might have been working with other people. So here, for example, it says the Bombay Chronicle, 19th August, 1930. So we know where it's from. But if you look at this one here, and we know that the newspapers that were tapped into were not only English and Hindi newspapers, but, for example, newspapers in languages such as Gujarati. And here we have the caption, but we don't have a date. So there are some photographs here which, as I've said, have never really been seen except by people who have come to the library and have poured through the 6 volumes of this set. And once again, I would remind viewers that we are not speaking simply of photographs of Gandhi. What we're speaking about is, in this case, the salt satyagraha in the Bombay Presidency, and what we can more broadly describe as the anti-colonial struggle or the freedom struggle in India. So with this, I will draw to a conclusion, and it should be quite apparent to anyone who's viewed this video that this library has a collection that is absolutely distinct, and it's a very pleasant place to work in, and I hope that people will have the occasion to visit it.